Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind, Season 8. Let's watch and see what comes flying out of my face.
You're not ready to choose someone else and like be a team member with them.
Yes,
because
I
if
am.
you were, then like
yes,
this
I
would
am.
have been minuscule shit.
You have no reason to say that to me. Putting it on.
Yeah, I've been thinking that, and I don't think we've heard that. So, we've seen a progression in her reaction, which I will say is way more patient than I think I would have been. I would have reached this point so long ago, just because, I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe I'm assuming something, because if I were really in love, I would imagine I would actually take some time to shift. But we're seeing a progression, and she's just like, look, you're accusing me. I could accuse you so easily because this is such a small thing. And if what I would add to that is, if you were truly in love with me and wanted to marry me, you would have figured out a way to get us in the same room. You would have presented more data. If you were really that concerned, you would have put in so much more effort. Now, I've been hypothesizing that there's a possibility he doesn't even know how to grab the wheel of the car.
Me that I'm not ready for a teammate. Sound like your dad right now. He easily could have come on the experiment and said what he had to say, but he didn't. And he also said shit about my dad and sister not wanting to be involved.
We're hearing that, at least from Dave's perspective, the dad was forward with Dave, which we could imagine, right? If the dad loves his daughter, and if Lauren has even told his dad a little bit of the situation, yeah, I mean, maybe it was cordial, the conversation, but yeah, the dad should say, like, what's going on?
The day we got back, I was like, I want to talk to your friends and family. I tried so hard.
Yeah.
My friends and family have been part of this. Like, you've been keeping your friends and family at bay. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm the one that's not ready to be married.
My friends and family are the most supportive people I know. They would have been here if I really wanted them to be here. They would have showed up.
That's
for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's weird how he doesn't know that he's shooting himself in the foot or that he's agreeing with her. I don't know what that means, but he will be acting like he's refuting what she's saying while saying exactly things in line with what she is saying. So yeah, it's just going in circles, really.
You and want the best for you. And if you would have come to them and said, Lauren's getting a lot of shit right now, and people are saying stuff, and like, it's important for our relationship that we find a way, even if it's a fucking phone call, for you to interact with her.
I'll show you all the texts I've sent to friends, my sister, everybody. Lauren is one of the best people I've ever known.
Okay, that might be true, but the other part that Lauren is saying is, and you would engineer a conversation between us, or you would, if they refused, you would say, well, then move aside. But you didn't do that. You prevented it. You were standing, you didn't pressure anyone. You'd say, look, I'm in love with this person, and in order for me to figure out if I want to marry this person, I need you to talk with the two of you, because I want to see what happens, and if the two of you like each other, then I'll be able to move forward with confidence. At least give that chance, right? And he never did that.
On a very real level, like, I am in love with you still. That's the really hard part for me, and I know you know that.
I question that. I really do. I'm like, if he loved me and if he like said all of the things that he's saying to me to his sister, she would be like so excited for you and like wanting to meet me. And
well, not necessarily. We don't know his sister, but if the way he's portraying her is even close to being accurate, if he were to be very adamant about his love, the sister might even be more rigid and more stubborn about this. But for Lauren to say, if you really loved me and you were really saying nice things about me, and you really wanted to move this forward, then you would have figured out a way, whether it was me meeting with your sister, me meeting with your friends, or a phone conversation, or you looking more into the data, or you would have done something. But he has done nothing. Now he could be very much in love with her and not done any of those things because of the hypothesis that I have been presenting.
wanting to be part of this. So like, I don't doubt that we like have this connection, but like, I do doubt like how you actually feel about me.
I can't force people to do things they don't want to do. Your dad didn't either. Your dad didn't want to be put.
So I'll repeat that in terms of the edit, which that looked edited, but in terms of the edit, as she is directly asking a question in a sense of, or at least raising the topic of, I don't know if you really, really love me. And then he changes the subject in my mind. You know, he's changing the subject from my perspective. From his perspective, it might not be at all changing the subject because he immediately starts talking about other people. That fits in line with that hypothesis that I've been putting out there.
Yeah, but he still met you off camera.
He did.
He still tried.
Your dad met me.
Because I said this matters to me.
Your dad met me on his terms.
I know.
And now it's being turned on my friends and family for not wanting to be involved. It's like, why?
And I don't understand what he's saying about the dad. It kind of has a look, I don't think this is it, but that he just really wants to be on camera. I wonder if people are accusing him of that. I mean, it's possible, you know, because he's like, yeah, the dad didn't even want to meet on the experiment. Well, he met with you. If anything, meeting off camera would mean more legit intent because you would know that the dad is being authentic because the cameras aren't there and he's not looking to be on camera. So what's the complaint? To me, in the main hypothesis I have, I think he's just grasping for excuses to comply with the people that are typically over-functioning and dominant of his life.
They're not changing their minds.
And that too, they're not changing. Who gives a fuck if they're not changing their minds? Or at the very least, how do you feel? And there's a good possibility that he literally does not have the capability and has never had the space to even ask that question, what do I want? I don't know if that's true about him, but I've treated so many people who have had that denied of them, and it takes a long time. It's really hard to develop that connection with who you are and what you want and what you need. It takes years and years of therapy.
It's very hard for me to just like walk away from it. But like my heart thinks it's the right decision.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, better now than later. And I think Lauren is smart enough, level-headed enough to have gotten to this point where she's approaching this differently than she would have before. And I think she's hearing, or at the very least, if there is love there that she detects, which there very well could be, she would conclude that there's no way forward regardless. And then he said, my heart is telling me this is the right decision to break up. So that is pretty clear, right? In terms of not a lot of people in Lauren's position would still fight for a relationship where someone said something like that, especially in this kind of context.
Everything was so great, and then everything fell on my head.
You promised the world and I fell for.
And that's an interesting phrase. Everything was so great, and then everything fell on my head. And he would say, as soon as I got my phone back, and I was back, stateside, but everything fell on his head before he even chose Lauren. If we remember in the pods, he was like, my sister, I don't know what to do. It was constantly on his head. Now, whether or not he has an accurate picture of his sister, we don't know, but in terms of the edit, it's always been on his head. It just became more concrete when he got his phone back.
I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm frustrated. We have such a great connection. I feel like I let her down in a way because I couldn't get over my own ego, my own pride that she could have seen some other guy before me, which is very normal.
I don't know what he's saying. I think he's saying he's very normal. I mean, it's not abnormal, but I wouldn't say it's particularly common or expected. I think that's what he's saying, is that, because I didn't know if he was saying that she was normal to be hurt, but that's interesting that this is what, now who knows at what point of the conversation, but in terms of the edit, his topic sentence is, I couldn't get over that she had dated someone before. Let's rewind that.
I'm mad. I'm frustrated. We have such a great connection. I feel like I let her down in a way because I couldn't get over my own ego, my own pride, that she could have seen some other guy.
There's an edit there. Watching it back, there was an edit. So it could be two bits of the conversation, smashed together. But in terms of the edit, it is saying that he is attributing their breakup to how he couldn't get over it, that she had dated some guy before. And that's different. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll hear more he has to say, but it's possible that was because he did bring that up during the getaway, independent of hearing anything from his friends or his sister. That he was already tweaked by the very bland version of the story that she had dated two guys in the past that he knew. And it didn't have anything to do with time span, up until the pods. It was just that fact. And he was tweaked by that, and that was particular. So that is where it began, and it is the way he's describing it at the end.
Before me, which is very normal. I'm mad at myself for that, but I love her. I probably always will. But this felt like the right decision. Love is blind, but I don't think marriage is.
Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of the show format, that is a good description. Engagement is blind, but marriage is not.
A hookup that I had when he went to go see his sister a week ago, I wrote her a letter to explain who I am and the whole situation and how crazy it is, but how much I want to be with Dave and how much I love him and how much I care about her support. And he just didn't give it to her.
He didn't even give her the letter. Oh my God. Okay, well, so that's either evidence of a legit anxiety that he has about his sister's dominance and punishing abuse of him. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again, that there's a possibility that he is so tweaked by the jealousy and he's so not used to being vulnerable or processing that, and he has such an immature approach, really childish understanding and approach to the fact that your partner has dated people in the past, that he cannot face it, doesn't even feel it consciously, and has been using all these other triangulations as a way to avoid. He's expressing his jealousy about this in the past by bringing up sister and friends and jabronis and all this stuff, and is preventing any way of that being resolved because he just knows that he can't even begin to process the jealousy, can't even begin to talk about it. There might be a part of him that knows it's not becoming, it's not attractive, or it's not viable in some way, or it's too vulnerable. And he was using things that were kind of true, his sister being a little controlling or a little invasive, the friends expressing some concern, the third jabroni saying that they dated soon before the pods or something, but maybe even he knew that there was some viability that the other guy was mistaken or exaggerating or something. And at the core of it was what he said, which is that he just cannot handle his girl, his woman, his partner having any other loyalty. And then you would wonder what sort of denial or abandonment or betrayal or coldness might he had experienced growing up. I don't know. I'm just going to throw it out there that if you are a young child and you're watching your parents, maybe your mom and your dad, I don't know, but you're desiring closeness and you're watching them, at least to your eyes, bond with other kids, maybe other siblings, or just not being there for you, that you would have tremendous pain when there was even the hint that your partner might have interest in other people, even if it was in the past. That is the core of a lot of jealousy, by the way. So I'll throw that out there.
I'm so incredibly sad about it. I'm also pissed that he let it get here. Like, I've not been, like, heartbroken like this. Like,
all right. Well, all's well that ends well, I think, honestly. Yeah. And I think that there's evidence that Dave is growing and is maturing. And we all do this in all likelihood. We will have our trial fucked up relationships when we're young, when we're 13 or 17. And hopefully we don't harm people, but we might have a really hard time understanding ourselves. We might have a really hard time reacting to jealousy. We might be very black and white when it comes to these sorts of struggles or questions, or a sense of security that we're lovable or that someone would stick by us. We go through those dramas and those embarrassing relationships when we're young, hopefully without too many scars to others and ourselves. And then as an adult, we are past that for the most part and able to at least not be so in the childish version of those approaches and those places. So with Dave, it's possible that this is his 14-year-old relationship that he should have had, and is and did move forward a lot, did progress a lot, did wrestle with a lot, has grown. And for Lauren, it's she didn't seem like she needed this to progress and grow, at least from the edit. So it's arguably at her expense, right? But there's a pretty good chance that Dave didn't do it on purpose. It's, one of those risks that you take when you start dating. Typically what you'll do is you'll date and not have to figure out if you're going to marry someone right away. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? That's one version of the story. Another is that he's been lying, at least at some point he knew, and was just saying shit. There's a good possibility of that. That wouldn't be unusual. The hypothesis would still stand for the beginning of the post-getaway time. Anyway, I will say, what an interesting case for me. I don't know if other people were that interested in it, but for me, it's given me a chance to really wonder and hypothesize and talk about things I don't normally get a chance to talk about. So now maybe there's more. Who knows? But it does feel like the end of a certain chapter anyway. And that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.